Welcome back to Through Your Lens, a podcast exploring perspectives of inspiring and heart-led individuals who live life on their own terms. In this episode, I'm excited to introduce Kirsty Wirth, teacher, integrative health coach, mind ambassador, and founder of Kultured Wellness. Kirsty's journey is one of incredible resilience. It includes surviving the Thailand Boxing Day tsunami and navigating her son Noah's autism diagnosis. When doctors told Kirsty that Noah would likely remain non-verbal, she refused to accept that prognosis. Her relentless search for answers led her to discover the critical role of gut health. Through dedicated care, persistence, and a whole lot of family love and support, Kirsty helped Noah recover. He's now thriving and continually breaking down barriers. Watch this episode if you're interested in stories of resilience, how life-altering events can redirect our paths, and the power of food as medicine, especially for gut health. This conversation is for those seeking to take control of their health and understand the root causes of illness. This experience inspired Kirsty to found Kultured Wellness, providing resources to help others with gut issues. In this episode, Kirsty shares her insights, including the challenges of dealing with online criticism, something she experienced even before the terms keyboard warrior and troll became quite common. Her story is a testament to a mother's love and the power of determination. Kirsty is this beautiful living example of wellness. She hikes, she eats well, she is present with herself and her breathing and ice baths. She's everything that we all should probably be. And I love this conversation, and I think you're going to find it really inspiring too. So let's get into it. Kirsty.
Tom.
What was one of the most difficult moments in your life that in hindsight became a blessing?
It's such a great question. I feel like I'm blessed that I have evolved enough to actually be able to answer that question and have had the time to be able to, I suppose, reflect on that. So I've had two really significant times in my life where I've reflected on, thank goodness that happened to me. And the first one was when I was in the Boxing Day tsunami. So in 2004, I was on Koh Phi Phi Island and I was in the Boxing Day tsunami, and it was significant, really significant. And if that hadn't happened to me, I don't think I would have learnt skills, developed, and kind of gone through some fire to be able to build resilience and that big elastic band of resilience. So then my next kind of big test in my life, which was what happened with my family and my son with our health struggles, I just don't think I would have had the gumption, or I don't think I would have had that elastic band to really stretch it out if I hadn't have been through that. So I that's probably the first one, was the greatest blessing. And I look back on it now, and it was actually just the 20-year anniversary for that. And I look back on it and I'm like, wow. Yeah. Who I was then and who I am now. It's quite remarkable.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's delve into that a little deeper if you don't mind. And it's interesting you mention it because on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, a video came up the other day of the tsunami in Thailand. I think it was PP.
Oh, wow.
And it was old video footage of the water surging, receding, and then coming in and just the people you could tell had just confusion. Like what's the ocean doing? It just it looked like it took a while for people to really understand, and then panic and everything else set in. Yeah. Describe where you were, what did it look like? What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah. Well, even after the first wave, we thought a water tank had burst, which does not make sense at all. But remember, it was Christmas Day the day before, and I was very young and hungover. So I can imagine my brain going, it's a water tank, But I was actually in the shower, so no clothes on. That was an evolution of growth in itself in that experience.
Not an ideal time. No, not great timing for you.
No, not great timing. And obviously the night before, we'd had such a great time, and just Christmas Day, everything was so beautiful. But I remember looking out and seeing the trees moving, but the leaves didn't move. And then I just, you just sort of feel this energy and you're like, why is that happening?
Are you on a second floor?
Well, no, we were on a ground floor.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to be staying somewhere else. But I'd had a bit of a netball injury and my ankle was a bit funky. And so I was, we were like, oh, we didn't get the little beautiful bungalow right on the beachfront that we wanted. So like all these decisions, right? So I was like, oh, let's just go around the corner a little bit so then we can walk up and down the steps up to the mountain every morning and, get some training in and help my ankle a bit more. And sorry,
just to jump in, for those who don't know about PP Island, geographically, it's like it's an island, thin strip of land. Yeah. And then at each end it almost goes up into a mountain.
Yeah,
is that right?
Exactly.
And so you are actually close to the mountain area.
So we were supposed to be on the thin strip.
Yeah, right.
Which is where, like, if you were there, like, very few people survived. Yeah. And so, we went just around the corner. Yeah. So we could be at the base of that mountain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I saw that, and then there was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming. And then, my partner at the time, Duncan, he opened the door and went to have a look and just ran back just screaming like, something's happening. And so, I just jumped out and put a sarong on, and then we just were able to climb very quickly to get up higher and just watch just everything just completely get taken out in front of us. And just to, like, I feel very blessed that, like I was strong enough to climb and to think quickly and to get up and all those kinds of things. But just seeing it all unfold, and then it receded, and the screaming of the people being trapped and the complete, like, what the heck happened? And we walked out into the water and started to have a look around and then looked up, and everyone was just screaming like there's another wave coming. But I could hear all the people that were trapped that we were trying to get to. And then, we ran back up again, and then the next wave came through and all those screams had, gone, and then other people were trapped and it was just this constant, waves that came through, and then trying to rescue people in between the waves, and then the fear of more waves coming. It never, like, because I was around the corner from the ocean at that point, never kind of like, what is this? Just never kind of considered it. But I knew something was wrong from a nature perspective because there was just no animals, no birds, like nothing was happening. And I was trying to take all these bits of information in about what's going on. And I have a lot of, like, mountain first aid, wilderness first aid experience from my outdoor sort of side of my life. And I just clicked straight into, like, let's just go. So my reaction was, these people need help. Let's pull people out. Let's resus people. Let's get that going. Whereas my partner at the time, Duncan, he was a bit more shell-shocked. Like, he just had to sit under a tree for a while. I was just, I can't sort of handle this information and what's happening.
Goodness.
And
how long in between waves? And can you remember? Was it all blur?
That's a bit of a blur. I feel like it was, maybe a couple of minutes to 5 minutes. Yeah. So it's not like a normal wave. When we go out and surf in the ocean, it wasn't like that. Yeah.
Just surges of the ocean.
Yeah.
And the days, the weeks after,
just
what happened?
Just chaos. So we had to stay on the island. We had no idea what was happening, no idea if we were going to get off. We didn't even see helicopters until later that afternoon. So we were just making makeshift stretchers, carrying people to a place that we'd made. We'd sort of cleared some space so a helicopter could land, and just getting getting people's final words for their families, or just keeping them alive basically and getting them ready to hopefully someone hopefully is going to come and, save us and what's happened. It was still so unclear what had happened. And then I remember seeing this lady walking up and she had a piece of paper pinned to her back and it said, "I am a doctor." And she had come in off of a boat because she'd heard that PP had just been destroyed. It was just annihilated, the whole island. I cannot believe the fact that I was a tiny bit around there, that I survived. And, she said, "Look, you need to get in touch with your family. This is a worldwide thing, and your family will assume that you're dead. And this is really significant. This is not just isolated to PP." And then that was oh, hang on a minute. And just trying to decompress all of this, and then this immense responsibility to keep people alive. And I naturally step into leadership sort of roles, and it was so much. And then just putting some clothes on, that
was at the bottom of the list.
It actually really was. It was I am still not wearing any clothes.
How did you tell your family? What were communications like at that time?
Oh my gosh. So now I know a lot about a trauma brain. This lady said, "Look, this is a sat phone," because remember this is 20 years ago.
Sure.
No one has phones and all the stuff. And she's like, "Look, this is a sat phone. You can call your family." And I was like, I don't know their phone number. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So I've had this phone number. Should have been able to remember it. Dial it in.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember it. And they were like, "Well, you need to make one phone call." And it made more sense to call my family. Duncan's family was, both his parents had passed away. So it wasn't, we needed to call my family. I just couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
I was I just need to keep these people alive. We've got to keep going, get into this. And so these two amazing boys that we met when we were there, and we'd become very, you know what it's like when you're traveling, 2 days and you're best friends and, forever friends. And we'd hung out for maybe a week or so. They called their parents because they remembered their phone number and said, "Can you please look up the Adelaide phone book? There are 4 Tombses, which is my maiden name, in Adelaide. And they live in, Hawthorne. Can you ring them and just tell them that their daughter's alive?"
Wow.
So that's how my parents found it. Random people ringing. "Hi, this is not a prank. This is." And so
a nice phone call for your parents. A relieving phone call for them to receive.
Yeah. And then days of trying to get off the island, trying to get in touch with them, and because they had already organised for my cousin to go over to find our bodies and do all of that. They'd already started the process because that's what they were told to do. And they'd already been given, "Look, there's no way that they've survived."
Wow.
So you need to kind of action.
All right, a quick word from one of our sponsors and then we'll get right back to the show. Today's sponsor is, it's me, Tom from Raw Lens. At Raw Lens, we create impactful video and stills content that captivates your community. If you're a business, organisation or individual with a message to share, then let's chat. Book your free Creative Spark session today at rawlensmedia.com. Let's bring your vision to life. Okay, back to me in the show. When you're young and you travel and you have, amazing experiences and different, sometimes challenging experiences. You come back home at some point, and sometimes, and I know I experienced this, some form of after travel blues where I was like, I've just done this amazing thing and now I'm back here. And even though I love where I live, is that all there is?
Yeah.
What's it like for someone like you to experience this? Obviously a terrible thing, but a very heightened, very extreme traumatic event. What was it like once you got back home?
Yeah, well, it was terrible because the plan was I was coming back and then moving straight to Melbourne to start my PhD. And so in hindsight, when you've been through something like that, you never leave your family and friends. But I literally got home a lot earlier than I was expecting to. But just kind of like off we go.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Melbourne and I moved to a completely new environment. That city doesn't have a lot of sunshine, as you know, and just, I started like in an academic role and didn't have the safety around me, didn't have the people around me. And, but the one blessing was that through the support that we got for surviving the tsunami, like I was able to get quite a lot of trauma counselling through the uni.
Okay.
And so I met a wonderful psychologist and I literally, like, she was down the hallway and I would meet with her once a week, but I could drop in if I needed to. I'd never talked about my feelings before. You just go out bush and like rock climb. Isn't that how you deal with it? Or you go hiking or something. So it was not, in hindsight, I should have stayed home. PhDs are hard. They're really hard. Yeah. And like you've got expectations and you're like trying to meet new people and where am I going to live? Finding, accommodation. Sure. I was living on my own for a while because Duncan wasn't going to come over and just it was way too much. But then that's elastic band, right?
Yeah.
Like build that resilience. Come on, you can do this. And yeah.
And so, years later, as you become a mum, you're faced with another challenge of a different kind. Tell me about that journey. Tell me about Noah.
Yeah.
Which is where the Kultured Wellness story begins, I guess.
It does. So Noah, I fell pregnant when I was doing my PhD with Noah and it was a really exciting time. Like I was blessed. I went to Slovenia when I was pregnant with him and presented my work and, just so joyful, like walking around with this belly in Europe and so excited about my work and stuff. And then took some time off and, I moved back to Adelaide to give birth to Noah at 7 months. I just announced, no. I can't give birth in this city. It's too big. I need to go home. So I went back to Adelaide and gave birth and it was lovely. Like everything was great. It wasn't the best birth. All births have their own experiences. It wasn't so great. I had a few hiccups along the way, but it wasn't until we went to Fiji to a surf camp and he got Giardia at 12 months old. And if you've ever had it, it's just horrible. Like it's coming out.
Yeah, what's Giardia?
It's a bacterial infection. So it's coming out of both ends. And for him and I, it's just not a fun experience. And then he got an ear infection. And then he got Giardia again when we went on a rock climbing trip out north of South Australia. And then he got another ear infection. And then he was just starting to get covered in rashes. Then he just started screaming all night. Then he wouldn't sleep and then he was unsettled. And then just this constant yellow diarrhea and it just, that decline, like quite a significant decline from he was definitely an unsettled baby. Like compared to my second one, Maya, he wasn't, the dream sleeper and the dream feeder and he wasn't that, but it wasn't like but it was also very manageable and fine.
But as a new mum, did you have a feeling of, I don't know, I've got nothing to compare it against, so what is this?
I remember asking a lot of questions of like my cousins and my neighbours and my friends and I'm like, when he was a bit younger, I was like, is it normal for your child to just scream all night and not sleep? And then as he started having these things, I was like, is this normal to have this many ear infections, all of these things? And then the decline really started happening. Like he started to really struggle with his words. He started to struggle more with milestones. And then he started like lots of repetitive behaviours. He started to lose his speech and just scream and just stay up all night. Like he really started to struggle. And by 3.5 years, he was given an autism diagnosis. And he really wasn't speaking much at all at that point. So a few small functional words. And so, his diagnosis at 3.5 was, look, he's he's, going to be not very functional. He probably won't reach milestones, probably won't go to school or a usual school, and all the milestones that you expect from your child, like don't expect that anymore. And he may not be able to speak or communicate with you and go and get some therapy sort of thing. So it was just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. You sort of have that moment of like, why is this happening? But my husband Mark and I were always like, but why does he have yellow diarrhea? Why is he covered in skin rashes? Why? He's got this diagnosis over here, but why is his body out of balance? Why is he unsettled? I had terrible gut issues, terrible skin issues, energy issues, brain issues, bloating, a lot of mental health stuff at that time. And I was just like, something's not right. And then Mark came home from the gastro ward one day. He's a registered nurse, and he was like, if Noah came into the hospital, and he came into the gastro ward, we'd be looking for infections. Like, something's wrong here. And then, so I just dove into looking at, because, I was still finishing off my PhD, and I had, back then, you couldn't get access to PubMed unless you were part of like that research community. And so I started looking into it, and I was like, there's some connections here with like significant bacterial infections and, speech issues, autism, and started looking at these connections. I was like, this is interesting. And then just went on this like insane deep dive and started looking at the kind of research and started looking at diet can make changes to this. And there's this thing called the gut microbiome. And, back then it was like, 5 papers on it. It was really, really infancy stage. Sure. And I started to look into it, and Mark's brother is a professor at Guelph University in Canada.
Right.
And he was like, there's this lady down the hall. She's building a robo-gut at Guelph University. And so like, could you put us in touch with her? And so we met
What's a
her.
robo-gut?
Yeah. Like,
Well, what?
But how can I get one? It's literally like she built a human gut in a lab.
Right.
Because a human gut like has no oxygen in certain parts and has oxygen in certain parts and needs certain biles and acids and enzymes. And so she built this whole thing and literally like put food in one end and then what happens out the other end. And so, we spoke to her, and then we spoke to numerous professors in Italy and in Canada and in Australia, and we went to Sydney quite a few times to have a chat, and we couldn't get any testing in Australia. And so we sent Noah's stool off to Germany, and because I was like, something is going on here, but we just couldn't get access to anything. Right. Pediatricians were telling us like, look, you're just a new mum and it's just toddler diarrhea. It's fine. He's autistic. You've just got to like come to terms with that. And we were just, but no, like it's burning his bum. Like it's horrible for him. He's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So we sent his stool off to Germany, and sure enough, he had a really life-threatening infection, a Clostridium difficile infection, which Mark again was like, if we saw that in hospital, it would be like alarm bells. This is not great,
Yep.
And the metabolites from those infections can get into the brain and can alter the brain. And so it had really got into Noah's brain and had started to alter his learning, his development, his speech, and just his brain, developing.
And the professor in Germany was giving you this information?
No, so we just got the test results back, and then I was back into the research.
Sure.
Okay, so this infection does this, and then this infection does that. So there was no correlation between that infection and this whole banner of autism. It was just this, that's what it does. And so then I was starting to like, interesting. So it was never about the autism picture at all. It was just, okay, this is a problem.
It was a gut problem.
And then this will cause these things to happen within other parts of the body.
Was there anyone to lean on in Australia too. No.
Because, of course, Noah's like 4. He's under 18. We can't do anything. So, we flew great people to talk to, but it was like, sorry, we can't do anything. He's too young. You need to take him to the children's hospital. Children's hospital's like, well, all we can do is just give him truckloads of antibiotics. And it's like, but that's how we got into this mess, because Clostridium difficile is an infection from too much antibiotics, which is the ear infections and the Giardia and all the stuff that happened.
Yep.
We didn't know that. Of course we didn't know that. Yeah.
And so what did you do?
Yeah.
Kirsty got to work.
I got to work. I stretched my elastic band. We met all these professors and learned, and then we learned that there is a specific transfer of gut microbes from a healthy donor into someone who's got this Clostridium difficile, and it can make a profound change. So we started researching about this FMT and like, could this be an option? Can't get it in Australia. He's under 18. All of this kind of stuff, like just roadblocks. It's too new. It's too we haven't got enough information on it yet. But in Canada, Dr. Louis, who's like my angel, he was doing all of this research on C. diff. And so, he invited us to be part of his study, and as a cluster family, so myself, Maya and Noah all were on that.
Wow.
And so, we literally sold our house and did a fundraiser.
Wow.
And because by that point we literally had no money. Like, we just used all of our resources for everything. Yeah. And so we just kind of, let's do it. Like, let's go. And so we turned up in Canada and it was like minus 25 degrees. I'm like, what are we doing? And we went and had every single day for 5 days. We had this amazing gut microbial transfer.
Wow.
So we always joke we've got Canadian guts now. Yeah. So and just everyday life just looked so different.
Yeah. When did you start to see any change? Or?
Like literally that afternoon. Like,
kidding?
Yeah. Microbes are cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
What was that change? What did it look
Noah
like?
started using words. So, we'd had functional words. And then, that afternoon it was like, so Noah, how are you feeling? And, I feel good, mum. And I started hearing the word mum. And then we went out for a drive and he was like, train and dog, and like all these words that they were in there from all the speech therapy and from us just spending time with him.
And prior to that?
Just barely anything. Yeah. And so
wow. What was that like as a mum to hear the word mum?
I think firstly I was like, I think Mark and I were like, say it again. Did you, did we make that up? Did it happen? Yeah. I don't know, words that come to mind, I think validating, because I knew something was up with Noah and I was just getting shut down at every turn. He's just autistic. And I was like, I just want to advocate for him more. He's so much more than that. Like, there's something going on here. In my childhood and my upbringing, I wasn't well a lot of the time. And, it was dismissed a lot. So I think it was also, I'm not going to have that happen to my child because it took me until I was like 35 to start feeling well again. So, so it was just, what was it like? I don't know, equal parts joy and equal parts deeply like, we gave you those antibiotics. Like, we made decisions that, we took you to Fiji. We took you to those doctors. We gave you those medications. So equal parts, like epic mum guilt and failure and all that kind of stuff with like, okay, we can, like, we can make a change here. Yeah.
There was that underlying validation that, okay, we're on the right track now.
Yeah.
We can self-correct. And
I
guess your journey since that day has been on that journey to to put Noah on the best possible path of health and being a happy young man now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
17 next week.
Yeah, 17.
Holy
wow.
smokes.
So what's it been like at home, and how have you cared for your whole family in that time with this new validation and mindset of how important the gut is?
Yeah. We just completely changed our whole lives. Like everything that we knew to be true, I just wanted to unpack that and look at it and understand it, like everything. What water do we drink? How do we live? And, what are we eating? How do we nourish ourselves? How do we live as a family? What were our ancestors doing? What did my papa eat, growing up on the farm versus what we eat now? And just this curious mind of, hang on a minute, let's look at everything. And so it was just this huge kind of turning upside down and reshaping of our family. So significant.
And over time, I mean, the story of Canada and the microbes and all of that seemed pretty instant. But over time,
I wish it was instant.
but how many other validating moments have there been where you're just like, oh my God, this works?
Yeah. Just nonstop, like all the time. Yeah, like every single moment that we would do something, like I was literally told, and it just baffles me to this day, I was literally told, you just won't be able to take him out camping because autistic kids like structure and routine and everything to be the same. And so it is not a good idea for you to take him camping. So for me, that is basically saying rip your legs off. Like it's just And I was like, children need to be in nature and playing, and they need to be part of the world. And now we call it earthing and grounding, and now we've got language for this, and we've got research study for this, and we've got flipping sandals. I've got copper things on my sandals to like ground down. Now we have language around that, but back then I was like, that's wrong. When I am out like on a multi-day bushwalk, I'm a whole different engaged, balanced, grounded person, and you're telling me I can't take my son out there? So there was this, that's so disempowering to tell me how I should parent my child. And I'm an outdoor ed instructor and a PE teacher, and like you're telling me to like change my philosophy.
Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks for that advice.
Yeah. But there was moments of just deeply fearful moments of like, maybe they know best. And we didn't take him camping for a little bit. And then those validating moments of nah. And we'd go out camping and be like, oh, there you are. You're not in pain. You're just so happy and so balanced, and we're a beautiful family. Like this is our moment. And like moments like that where I was like, nah. Can't be right.
Yeah.
And Tom, there was just so many, like every day there was more and more and more. Like he can't go on school camp. He won't cope. Like, no.
Yeah.
Let's how can we scaffold this? Well, what are we going to do about the food? I'll just make every single meal. I will come in. We will camp, like literally his first school camp, Mark and I stayed up in a campsite up the road, came down, gave him his food, went away and stayed there, and he stayed there to give him that experience, to keep that growth.
Yeah.
But he won't cope. He won't be able to do it. He won't be able to go on the high ropes. He won't. And I was like, the dude's been rock climbing since he was 12 months old. He's more comfortable on the high ropes than like sitting in a classroom.
Yeah.
And so every turn there was no. And we would just be like, let's go in with an option. Let's give him an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him choice.
Yeah. And so when he got his L's, the man's driving a car.
and I guess would have those early doctors and people said that he would be driving a car?
It would be cool to send a picture. Look
at me now.
Yeah, and more just there is a bit of like look at us, but more I would love that doctor to see like there's hope for other families. There's another way. Let's not just kind of just box and confine and constrain and, let's just give options and to people. So, yeah.
So you start to see all these amazing benefits in your own family.
Yeah.
When did the moment come when you were like, I need to help others? Other families are going through this. And, how did you start Kultured Wellness?
Yeah. I wish there was like this defining moment that I could be like, that was the day that it happened. But there definitely wasn't a defining moment. When we came back after the microbial transfers, we simply couldn't afford the probiotics and all of the aftercare. We just had nothing. Like Mark had to quit his job for us to go over there. Like it's just like ground zero kind of stuff. And so I started playing around with bacteria and probiotics and mediums to culture them in. And I was like, oh, maybe I can like make my own probiotics as a food base that we could afford. So then I started making these probiotic foods, giving them to the kids. We got them lab tested and it was the same efficacy as what the professor wanted us to have. And then, I don't know, I was just like, my bench looks like a science experiment, where we were living. And so then people were asking me like, is that what you have? And then I'd just be, I can't believe how much it helps us. It's so easy. Oh, can we give it a try? And so it kind of started with the cultures of people giving it a try and then people asking me questions. And then, like mums would come and ask me because I was still teaching in school. So I was around lots of families and lots of kids and, people were just like, what the heck happened to Noah? what happened there? And then, I would just start, well, we did this and we did that. And did you know that like if you can't digest gluten, it goes straight into the brain and does all this crazy stuff. And so I was a bit like a walking, research paper. I was overzealous and over keen. And I look back at it now, I'm like, oh gosh, I should have probably backed off a little bit.
It must have been eye-opening for you living in that world to see how many other families are struggling.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Interesting to see how many other people are having skin issues or gut issues.
Everywhere. And even talking to my dad. So my dad's now still teaching at 78.
Wow.
He started teaching at
What's his secret?
21. Oh, wow. he follows Kultured Wellness stuff. And he was like, we've never seen this in kids before. And to have someone with that breadth of teaching experience, that's like 50 years of teaching or 50-something years of teaching. And he would share story and then Papa would be like, we haven't seen kids like this before. Like, what's going on? And and so
what is going on?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Our gut microbiome is just being completely annihilated. So, we need to have this robust diversity within our gut. We need our ancestral microbes need to be there, our connection to nature and spending time out in those environments. And there's just so much antibiotics, processed foods, screens.
Do you always wonder, this is could be a bleak question or it could be an optimistic question. It depends on if you're a glass half full or a half empty person.
Always full,
because in life you're never going like this. You're either going like this or you're going slightly like that.
Yeah.
As a society, I feel we're on the Sunshine Coast and I do feel like we're in a bit of a bubble here in terms of health and wellness.
Yeah.
So it's definitely on the radar of what you eat and how you live and in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But as a society, I don't know, let's start with Australia, but the world, are we trending that way or are we trending that way?
No, when it comes to health, even though I'm a glass full and, I always want to look at that when it comes to health. Yeah, the stats show it. The obesity and all of these cognitive issues that we're having with kids and mental health issues are so significant. There's just so much data. It's, and there's a research paper and data for every single thing that's happening with our kids at the moment. Yeah. And it is concerning. and we are trending down, but as a society, but as sub-societies, I think it's really exciting because there's more empowerment. There's more distribution of information now. And I think we've got to highlight that for a moment. The only reason why I got to know what I knew was because I was at a uni at that time and I had been taught how to read research papers, how to collate knowledge. I had been taught how to speak to professors, how to ask questions. I had been taught how to be curious, and that was a blessing at that time, all those pivotal moments, right? And now the dissemination of knowledge is so decentralized, right? So someone can literally come and hear something at Kultured Wellness. We do so many free things for exactly this reason. Someone can come and learn something that previously I would have only had access to being at uni.
Yeah.
Whereas now we've got this whole wonderful opportunity for families and for people to really take back that empowerment and take back that confidence that they can deeply learn and then have access to testing and knowledge and mentors and be able to grow within their philosophy. So I think this decentralization, you come from a background in media and you would see it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
left TV 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
TV's still around, but online has taken over and the information is in so many different platforms.
Yeah.
Here we are talking on a microphone that could end up on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook,
100%.
It is a different landscape.
Yeah. So I think I feel this beautiful shift into people being more empowered and more community circles and more mentorship, and because you can, I don't advise anyone just to go off and do it on their own. It was a nightmare for us. And the only reason why it probably was so profound for us was Mark had all of that deep medical background and experience, and I had that research experience. And I used to climb big mountains. The only option is you need to summit those and get off that mountain, and you have to plan, and you just go. There's no kind of back out options, and we're quite a unique team.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that,
Is there resistance, or is it just families are fearful, don't know, scared what the right option is?
Yeah. Massive resistance.
Yeah.
It's got better. So we started doing this when Noah was two or three, and he's 17 next week. So what is that? 15 years of being part of this adventure. And even when I went gluten-free when I was about 25 and I'm 50 next year. So even when I went gluten-free, it was like, what the heck would you do that for?
Yeah.
So the resistance has been significant and it's definitely there, but it's out of fear and it's out of people being so disempowered to make choices for themselves and to back themselves. There's a lot of stuff at play. Yeah.
All right, a quick word from one of our sponsors and then we'll get right back to the show. Today's sponsor is, it's me, Tom from Raw Lens. At Raw Lens, we create impactful video and stills content that captivates your community. If you're a business, organization, or individual with a message to share, then let's chat. Book your free Creative Spark session today at rawlensmedia.com. Let's bring your vision to life. Okay, back to me in the show. Just on the gluten-free thing, was there a little GF gluten-free sign on menus 25 years ago? I feel like that's everywhere now. I hear it on the Sunshine Coast and everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Tom.
So what does that tell us?
Tom, honestly, I was like a unicorn.
Yeah.
Literally, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
Just even understanding that gluten's a protein in multiple foods. We just thought it was in wheat. but I knew like if I eat that, my mental health goes I just bomb. I'm covered. Like I used to have like 6 Panadol a day and 6 Nurofen a day and propped up with, physio and chiro and massage and medications and like it was so bad.
Yeah.
But no, never.
Yeah.
Never. Like I say to Maya now, my daughter, I'm like, sweetheart, you can literally go anywhere and ask for gluten-free. You can ask for the way that we eat. Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, the ridicule that we faced and the torment, and there was threats of taking Noah away from us because we were so dangerous as parents, and literally like threats and all sorts of stuff because it was just so out of norm, so beyond what people could process and think could be an answer. And so now it's kind of like, this is so cool, but that sucked. Like,
I'm so sorry to hear.
Yeah. Oh, it was pretty bad. Like I feel like, I think we're still processing like how we were perceived and what happened and how we were treated. We were just completely destroyed in mainstream media and all sorts of stuff that went down. But I just was like, no, we need to do this. And then my grandfather just bullied me into never stopping. So I can't stop now, which is hilarious.
Tell me about your grandfather.
Oh yeah.
How's his influence been in your life?
Well, what a man. He had polio. So interestingly, he had polio as a young man, and like he just decided, I'm going to follow the advice of this brand new doctor who said, when you have polio, you need to get up and start moving. Back then it was you just lay in bed. And so Papa was like, all right, I'm going to listen to this guy. And Nana would like drag him along the beach on a sheet and like put him out in the ocean and kind of roll him around and like drag him back again. And he just had this deep belief and this deep trust, that he was going to be fine, and a great storyteller, great man of community, and just really steadfast in his values, like super steadfast values and his commitment to community.
Yeah.
And
like you.
Well, I aim to be like that. Whenever I make a decision at Kultured Wellness, it's like, what would Papa do? What decision would he make? Because it would never be about money or recognition, or it wouldn't be about any of those things. It would be helping community, helping other
true to the
humans.
cause.
Yeah. But he it was going down, Tom, like significant, like everywhere. Mamma Mia and The Project and Kid Spot, and like it was going off about how like, even the headlines, block them out, haven't I? I can't remember them, but some of the headlines were like, mum tries to cure autism with, gut transplant and all these kinds of things.
Right.
And I never tried to cure autism. It's like, Noah's not well.
Yeah.
And then it was everywhere and it was horrible. And the Autism Society was like really coming down on me and sending me these emails, and Papa turns up, right? He's like, and he's got this like Kirsty, like this voice, and he was like, I've been on Facebook. And I was like, Papa. So Mum had like showed him what was happening. Yeah. And he was like, don't you listen? And he's literally like finger out, like, don't you listen to a word they say, stick with it, get on with your job.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, puts the computer down, like just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you can be that steadfast, whereas I was like, I'm not, nah.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kultured Wellness is done.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm doing this. I don't have the resolve. I don't have the bravado to be out in a public space where people just go for you. The keyboard warriors, the trolls, like we've got names for these people now. 10 years ago, we didn't have names for them.
Yeah.
I just thought everyone was lovely.
How did you block it? Did you block it out? Did you read everything? How do you
I read
cope?
everything.
You read everything, yeah.
But I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this world existed. No idea. I literally just thought everyone would be go you. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you feel in a more comfortable space now with I guess, what you're doing? Is there less trolls? Is there less of that?
So
Obviously that moment you're speaking of, you copped media attention in that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
As media cycles move on, they would have moved on to someone else to bully.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
do you feel in a better space with that now?
I've built up a skin and I've built up a resilience and I've built up tools around that. There are still, people that just have their opinions, but the Daily Mail, that was the one that was the worst. And they, it's only like last year, they put up a headline,
Yeah.
gut transplant cures autism.
Right.
Like literally.
Right.
Literally. And the professor that we had worked with and that I had interviewed on my podcast, they were referring to his research.
Right.
And bless my husband, we were like a formal apology, thank you, in the Daily Mail because, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, this is what you did.
Yeah.
And they put up a formal apology.
Really?
Because exactly what we were saying,
Yeah.
it was never about autism,
Yeah.
but we were saying your gut can impact your brain.
Yeah.
And here they are saying that.
Yeah.
And so were we pioneers? Were we just ahead of the game and we just had to kind of take it?
Yeah.
But so we're seeing stuff now that there's more research, there's more understanding, there's just more people talking about it. There's so it's great, whereas I felt like I was kind of this one person talking about it.
Yeah.
But that was quite an interesting moment when they put that up. Yeah.
What does the perfect day look like for you? What does Kirsty Wirth's world look like? What do you eat? What do you do in the morning? Do you get outside? How does that look?
Yeah. That's a great question. So the perfect day is, I wake up and the family's balanced. I've got teenagers. So
perfect's probably a bad word.
Yeah.
What's a really nice day look like?
A really nice day. Yeah. So I just love checking in with the kids. Our kids co-regulate off of us. We co-regulate off of them. So even now, Noah comes in every morning, gives me a cuddle and a kiss and, and just checking in. Perfect day, straight outside, and whatever that looks like, an ideal perfect day is I start work a bit later. I'm out on the bike, mountain biking. We've gone out together.
Yep.
Or I'm on the beach or lifting really heavy weights in the gym or just using my body.
Yep.
So I'm a real fan of that, train the body and tame the mind. I do think a lot, and so I need to really just let my body move and just make sure that I can then tame my mind. So being outside, connecting with nature is really important.
You don't get on your phone straight away? Check your emails?
No.
Yeah.
But also I'm a role model in my family. If I do that, guess what my kids are going to do? So Noah's pretty committed to his writing. So that's a bit different. He wakes up and it's like, okay, bud, you got to get outside, do the dishwasher, get ready for school, do all your stuff.
Yeah.
But then he just wants to lay down a couple of chapters before he goes to school.
Yeah.
Maya, being a female, it's all about engagement and friends, and it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm very steadfast about how I model my interactions with phones and other people and then just deep nourishment, really focusing on nourishment for the family. So whatever that looks like. For me, it's different than for the kids. So really focusing on great food and then doing cool stuff like this. This is an epic day for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Just on the diet, the food side of things, I get this feeling that people think it's really complicated. It's really hard to. And I think a lot of kids' lunch boxes are built for convenience.
Yeah.
Is it a myth? Can we make it easy? Can we make healthy living easy? Yeah.
100%. Like when I work with people, it's like if your grandma doesn't know what it is, if she hasn't seen it, if it's in a packet, if it wasn't around 50 years ago, just don't eat it. Like it is actually just that simple.
Yeah.
And when you kind of peg it back, yes, you can get into, like we've been eating a ketogenic diet for 15 years and you can get into all that kind of nuance about what your body needs at that particular time, whether it's for healing or for cognitive advancements or hormone health. Like you can turn the dial and tweak it and do all of that. But it's that simple. If it doesn't come from the earth and your grandma didn't know what it was or didn't eat it, it's just that simple. So then a lunchbox is proteins and vegetables and some fruit and a good old-fashioned sandwich or, whatever would have happened, back when our grandparents ate it.
I remember, hopefully this doesn't happen anymore, but having my dad is an amazing sandwich maker and just full of salads and beetroot and all these things that I didn't like when I was in primary school. But in primary school, kids would go, what's that? Like, you got a leaf in your sandwich?
It's like, what? You don't have a chip sandwich?
Yeah. But very grateful now for Ronnie's sandwich making. He still makes some of the best sandwiches.
Yeah. And it's also about those open arms. So like when Maya's friends come over, it's, like one of her friends came over the other night and she was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, it's sauerkraut and let's give it a go. Yeah. And we don't need to like hide away like that's the weird food, that's the healthy food. I think people have this label around these things and it's like, let's just give it a go. Yeah. Do you like it? Yeah.
And I mean, how do your kids go with it now? I'm sure they eat very well.
Yeah.
It's just naturally part of their diet now. Yeah. There's things they like, things they don't like.
Yeah. And Maya now sees the cause and effect. So she'll be like, Mum, there are kids at school on medication for their acne. I'm like, yes, sweetheart, that's true. And she's like, what? Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just eat the right foods? Because there are so many kids on Roaccutane for their acne. And they come to Maya and like, oh, you taking Roaccutane, your skin is perfect. Yeah. And she's like, I don't even know what that word is. She had to come and ask me. And so, they're starting to look to her like, what do you eat? And how come you've got so much energy and how can you play that many sports? And why do you look so bright? And, so Maya especially has been able to see, when I eat like that, I can do all these things. Yeah. And I don't feel sick and I don't have these problems and I'm not on those tablets that the other kids are on and, my body feels good and I'm not in pain and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where should someone start? Like they're feeling overwhelmed of these words like ketosis and microbiome and all these scary words to some people.
Yeah.
Where would they start?
Yeah. I think it is starting about what is your why? What's your big goal, right? So we were just talking before we came in here, like my 14-year dream of playing netball with Maya happened last night. So my why is like I played with Maya now, let's go to grandkids, I think you don't make change, you don't do anything unless you've got a beautiful why. So my dad, for example, was not going well at 65 at all. And it was this steep decline into Alzheimer's and we were like, Dad, like, come on, like we don't want to be caring for you in that state like you had to care for your mum. Pull it together. Let's go. What's your why? And he was like, I want to be around for my kids. I've always wanted to go out and teach in Indigenous communities on the lands. I've had these dreams. Let's just go. Let's do it. And so once we could place, like he literally at 65 changed his whole life, his whole diet and everything and fulfilled his dream. And he's been teaching out on the lands, like he's 78. So teaching out there all this time with more energy and joyful giving to that community than the 65 years beforehand.
Yeah.
So find the reason why you're doing it. If it's just to be healthy, that never works. Like, do you want to be the best mum for your kids? Do you want to be full of energy, or, you know, why do you want to make that change? And so having that deep understanding of yourself and what your dreams are and your goals, and then it's super easy. It's like, well, if I want to do that, I need to look after my body.
Yeah.
And I need to make choices about my body and, you know, making sure that I'm the best that I can be.
Yeah.
Then it starts to be really simple. Well, if I want to do that, let's just add more vegetables in. Let's do a bit of an audit of the pantry. That's in a packet. Do I really want that? Maybe I should go to the farmer's market instead. And then your why and your philosophy starts to filter through. And then and I know that sounds quite esoteric, and I should probably bring it in a bit more for you, but I never see anyone change deeply for the rest of their lives and then change their children's lives and, you know, follow through that legacy. I never see that unless they know why they're doing something. So, you know, and then it just becomes so simple. Who do I need to speak to help me with that goal?
Yeah.
How do I find that information to learn how to do that? Yeah.
What kind of person do you want to be?
Yeah.
And the why is connected to that, isn't it? Is that I want to be this person because I want to look after my kids, I want to have energy, I want to do this and
all those things. And so a great analogy is climbing mountains. Like, I want to climb Mount Cook in New Zealand, right? So that's the goal. Everyone often finds a goal outside of themselves. So it's a good example. So that's the goal. So I need the equipment, I need the fitness, I need to understand the route. Maybe I need a guide. I need someone to drop me off and then pick me back up again. I need to allocate this time. I need to prioritize the training in my life. And I need to, like, change things in my life to get to that goal. And it's no different. It's just that we often don't do that for ourselves. Like, my goal is that I want to be well enough to play tennis with my grandkids or whatever it might be. We often don't filter that through. How does that look? Well, you know, work that back. And then it just becomes so fun, you know, excellent. I want to do this. So what do I need to do to make that happen?
That's a beautiful answer. Last question.
Yeah. Easy.
And we've probably touched on it already, but where does Kirsty Wirth find herself at her most peaceful place? Where are you at peace?
Yeah. I with my pack on, just like off in the wilderness, definitely. So one of the things I love most is literally everything is in my backpack, and I just walk off and go out for about 5 days, and everything's in your pack. So you'll get to a place and you're like, this is my night, and so you'll pull out your tent and you'll set it up and get your food out, sleeping bag, and you're completely self-sufficient, and you're tapping into that natural space, and you're communing with other people deeply. So I've always had this sort of joke that you could go to the pub every Friday night with someone for 20 years and you would never know them the same as if you went out like on a 2-day hike with them. They're like your wounds, your joys, your fears, like everything's exposed out there, and you just learn so much about yourself. And then you know, I don't need anything. I don't need attachments to this. I don't need validation for that. I don't need to be anyone or anything when you're out in those environments, because you're just being with the small little things that you have with you. And that's a real circuit breaker for me. So if I'm getting overwhelmed, or this is too hard, or I run a company, like all these kinds of things. Yeah, I literally will take off and go out to the bush and go and sit and just explore that. And I'm so passionate about that now. I take people out on 5-day hikes. So we've had clients through Kultured Wellness that have had like their bowel removed and significant health challenges and issues, and they've come, we've worked with them in clinic, they've become well, their mindset's changing, and then I'm like, right, let's go. We'll take them out bush for 5 days, and they just come out completely different people. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Inspiring. I want to go on a hike.
Yeah, I want you to come on a hike. I want you to come on a hike. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kirsty.
Thanks,
you are
Tom.
such an inspiring individual and an amazing mum. And I love seeing you on Instagram going on hikes, and I feel like your Instagram is almost half gut health, half nature and outdoors person, which is just your true self. It's just you living your best life.
Yeah, it is hilarious because I look at my Instagram now and I'm like, that's hilarious. It's just
Now more netball highlights, please, with you and Maya playing side by side. But
it is about that. It's like, hang on a minute, like we're like humans with this breadth of experience. That we don't need those silos. So
thank you so much for coming in and chatting.
Thanks, Tom.
If people want to get in touch and find you and learn more about you, where should they go?
My Instagram. It's a fun adventure for me being on there. And just kulturedwellness.com. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll put all that information in the show notes. Thanks so much for coming in, Kirsty.
Thanks, Tom.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the show. This podcast is truly a passion project for me and the small but awesome team behind the scenes. We pour our hearts into bringing you these honest and insightful conversations, but I can't tell you how much it helps when you hit that follow or subscribe button. The show gets bigger, which means we can expand the production and we can continue to bring in amazing guests from all walks of life. Please help us to do this thing that we love and hit that follow or subscribe button. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.